Finally, I promised I would read more, so I'm reading more. This is a very long book. It's... Oh, there are recipes in this book in the back. So 355 pages minus the back stuff. Okay. Chapter 4. I think we're on chapter 4. My oldest friend Chris smokes. She hooks up with boys she doesn't know hardly at all, and she's been suspended twice. One time she had to go before the court for truancy. I never knew what truancy was before I met Chris. FYI, it's when you skip so much school you're in trouble with the law. I'm pretty sure that if Chris and I met each other now, we wouldn't be friends. We're as different can be. But it wasn't always this way. In 6th grade, Chris liked stationery and sleepovers and staying up all night watching John Hughes movies, just like me. But by 8th grade, she was sneaking out after my dad fell asleep to meet boys she met at the mall. They'd drop her back off before it got light outside. I'd stay up until she came back, terrified she wouldn't make it home before my dad woke up. She always made it back in time, though. Chris isn't the kind of friend you call every night or have lunch with every day. She's like a street cat. She comes and goes as she pleases. She can't be tied down to a place or a person. Sometimes I won't see Chris for a few days, and then in the middle of the night there will be a knock at my bedroom window, and it'll be Chris. Crouched in the magnolia tree, I keep my window unlocked for her in case. Chris and Margot can't stand each other. Chris thinks Margot is uptight, and Margot thinks Chris is bipolar. She thinks Chris uses me. Chris thinks Margot controls me. I think maybe they're both a little bit right. But the important thing, the real thing, is Chris and I understand each other, which I think counts for a lot more than people realize. Chris calls me on the way over to our house. She says her mom's being a biatch, and she's coming over for a couple hours, and do we have any food? Chris and I are sharing a bowl of leftover gnocchi in the living room when Margot comes home from dropping Kitty off at her swim team's end of season barbecue. Oh, hey, she says. Then she spots Chris's glass of Diet Coke on the coffee table. Sans coaster. Can you please use a coaster? As soon as Margot's up the stairs, Chris says, God, why is your sister such a biatch? I slide a coaster under her glass. You think everyone's a biatch today. That's because everyone is. Chris rolls her eyes toward the ceiling loudly, she says. She needs to pull that stick out of her ass. From her room, Marco yells, I heard that. I meant for you too. Chris yells back, scraping up the last piece of gnocchi for herself. I sigh. She's leaving so soon. Snickering, Chris says, so is Joshi, like going to light a candle for her every night until she comes back home. I hesitate. While I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a secret, I am sure that Margot wouldn't want Chris knowing any of her personal business. All I say is, I'm not sure. Wait a minute, did she dump him? Chris demands. Reluctantly, I nod. Don't say anything to her, though, I warn. She's still really sad about it. Margot's sad. Chris picks at her nails. Margot doesn't have normal human emotions like the rest of us. You just don't know her, I say. Besides, we can't all be like you. She grins a toothy grin. She has sharp incisors. I don't know. Which makes her look always a little bit hungry. True. Chris is pure emotion. She screams at the drop of a hat. She says sometimes you have to scream out emotions. If you don't, they'll fester. The other day, she screamed at a lady at the grocery store for accidentally stepping on her toes. I don't think she's in any danger of her emotions festering. I just can't believe that in a few days she'll be gone, I say, feeling sniffly all of a sudden. She's not dying, Lara Jean. There's nothing to get all boo-hoo about. Chris pulls out a loose string of her red shorts. They're so short that when she's sitting, you can see her underwear, which are red to match the shorts. In fact, I think this is This is good for you. It's about time you did. It's about time you did your own thing and stopped just listening to whatever Queen Margot says. This is your junior year, biatch. This is when it's supposed to get good. French, some guys live a little, you know? I live plenty, I said. Yeah, at the nursing home, Chris snickers. And I glare at her. Margot started volunteering at the Bellevue Retirement Community. When she got her driver's license, it was her job to help host cocktail hours for the residents. I'd help sometimes. We set out peanuts and pour drinks, and sometimes Margot would play the piano, but usually Stormy hogged that. Stormy is the Bellevue diva. She rules the roost. I like listening to her stories, and Miss Mary, she might not be so good at conversation due to her dementia, but she taught me how to knit. They have a new volunteer there now, but I know that at Bellevue it's really is the more the merrier, because most of the residents get so few visitors. I should go back soon. I miss going there, and I for sure don't appreciate Chris making fun of it. Those people at Bellevue have lived more life than everyone we know combined, I tell her. There's this one lady, Stormy. She was a USO girl. She used to get 100 letters a day from soldiers who were in love with her, and there is this one veteran who lost his leg. He sent her a diamond ring. Chris looked interested all of a sudden. Did she keep it? She did, I admitted. I think it was wrong of her to keep the ring since she had no intention of marrying him. But she showed it to me, and it was beautiful. It was a pink diamond, very rare. I bet it's worth so much money now. Margot sits down next to me, and Kitty climbs up and sits at the foot of the bed. Everything's changing, I say, sighing. Margot makes a face and puts her arms around me. Nothing's changing, not really. We're the Song Girls forever, remember? Our father stands in the doorway. He knocked even though the door is open and we clearly see it is him. I'm going to start packing up the car now, he announces. We watch from the bed as he lugs one of the suitcases downstairs and then comes up for the other one. Dryly, he says, "Oh no, don't get up. Don't trouble yourselves. Don't worry, we won't," we sing out. For the past week, our father has been in spring cleaning mode, even though it isn't spring. He's getting rid of everything. The bread machine we never use, CDs, old blankets, our mother's old typewriter. It's all going to Goodwill. A psychiatrist or someone could probably connect it to Margot's leaving for college. But I can't explain the exact significance of it. Whatever it is, it's annoying. I had to shoo him away from my glass unicorn collection twice. I laid down my head in Margot's lap. So you really are coming home for Christmas, right? Right. I wish I could come with you, Kitty pouts. You're nicer than Lara Jean. I give her a punch. See, she crows. Lara Jean will be nice, Margot says, as long as you behave and you both have to take care of Daddy. Make sure he doesn't work too many Saturdays. Make sure he takes the car in for inspection next month. And make sure you buy coffee filters. You're always forgetting to buy coffee filters. Yes, Drill Sergeant. Kitty and I chorus. I searched Margot's face for sadness or fear or worry, for some sign that she is scared to go so far away, that she will miss us as much as we miss her. I didn't see it though. The three of us sleep in Margot's room that night. Kitty falls asleep fast. Kitty always falls asleep first. As always, I lie in the dark beside her. With my eyes open, I can't sleep. The thought that tomorrow night Margot won't be in this room, it makes me sad. I can hardly bear it. I'd change more than almost anything. In the dark next to me, Margot asks, "Lara Jean, do you think you've ever been in love before, real love?" She catches me off guard. I don't have an answer ready for her. I'm trying to think of one, but she's already talking again. Wistfully, she says, "I wish I'd been in love more than once. I think you should fall in love at least twice in high school." Then she lets out a little sigh and falls asleep. Margot falls asleep like that. One dreamy sigh and she's off to Neverland just like that. I wake up in the middle of the night and Margot's not there. Kitty's curled up on her side next to me, but no Margot. It's pitch dark. Only the moonlight filters through the curtains. I crawl out of bed and move to the window. My breath catches. There they are, Josh and Margot standing in the driveway. Whoops. I skipped a few pages. Oh no. I didn't even realize I skipped a few pages. Okay, I will go back and read. Those people at Bellevue lived more life than everyone we know combined, I'd tell her. There's this one lady, Stormy. She was a USO girl. She used to get 100 letters a day from soldiers who were in love with her. And there was this one veteran lost his leg. He sent her a diamond ring. Chris looked interested all of a sudden. Did she keep it? She did. I admit, I think it was wrong of her to keep the ring since she had no intentions of marrying him. But she showed it to me, and it was beautiful. It was a pink diamond, very rare. But I bet it's worth so much money now. I guess Stormy sounds kind of like a badass, Chris says, begrudgingly. Maybe you should come with me to Bellevue sometime, I suggest. We could go to their cocktail hour. Mr. Pirelli loves to dance with new girls. He'll teach you how to foxtrot. Chris made a horrible face like I suggested we go hang out at the Toned Up. No thanks. How about I take you dancing? She nudges her chin towards upstairs. Now that your sister's leaving, we can have some real fun. You know, I always have fun. It's true, Chris does always have fun. Sometimes a little too much fun, but fun nonetheless. The night before, okay, chapter 5. The night before Margot leaves, all three of us are in her room helping pack up at least. All three of us are in her room helping pack up the last little things. Kitty's organizing Margot's bath stuff, packing it nice and neat in the clear shower caddy. Margot is trying to decide which coat to bring. Should I bring my pea coat and my puffy coat, or just my pea coat? She asked me. Just that pea coat, I say. You can dress that up or down. I'm lying in her bed, directing the packing process. Kitty, make sure the lotion cap is on tight. It's brand new, of course it's on tight. Kitty growls, but she double checks. It gets cold in Scotland sooner than it does here. Margot said, folding her coat and setting it up on top of her suitcase. I think I'll just bring both. I don't know why you're asking if you already knew what you were going to do, I say. Also, I thought you said you were coming home for Christmas. You're still coming home for Christmas, right? Yes, if you'll stop being a brat, Margot says. Honestly, Margot isn't even packing that much. She doesn't need a lot. If it was me, I'd have packed up my whole room, but not Margot. Her room looks the same, almost. Margot sits next to me, and Kitty climbs up and sits at the foot of the bed. Everything's changing, I say, sighing. Margot makes a face and puts her arm around me. Nothing's changing, not really. When we're the song girls forever. Remember, our father stands in the doorway. He knocks even though the door is open and we can clearly see him. I'm going to start packing up the car now, he announces. We watch from the bed as he lugs one of the suitcases downstairs, and then he comes up for the other one. That dryly he says, "Oh no, don't get up, don't trouble yourselves. Don't worry, we won't," we sing out. For the past week, our father has been in spring cleaning mode, even though it isn't spring. He's getting rid of everything. The bread machine we never use, CDs and blankets, our mother's old typewriter, it's all going to Goodwill. A psychiatrist or someone could probably connect it to Margot's leaving for college, but I can't explain the exact significance of it. Whatever it is, it's annoying. I had to shoo him away from my glass unicorn collection twice. I laid down my head in Margot's lap. So you really are coming home for Christmas, right? Right. I wish I could come with you, Kitty pouts. You're nicer than Laura Jean. I give her a pinch. I give her a pinch. See, she crows. Laura Jean will be nice, Margot says, as long as you behave. And you both have to take care of Daddy. Make sure he doesn't work too many Saturdays. Make sure he takes the car in for inspection next month. Make sure you buy coffee filters. You're always forgetting to buy coffee filters. Yes, drill sergeant. Kitty and I chorus. I search Margot's face for sadness or fear or worry, or some sign she is scared to go so far away, that she'll miss us as much as we will miss her. I don't see it, though. The three of us sleep in Margot's room that night. Kitty falls asleep first, as always. I lie in the dark beside her with my eyes open. I can't sleep. The thought that tomorrow night Margot won't be in this room, it makes me so sad. I can hardly bear it. I hate change more than almost anything. In the dark next to Margot, In the dark next to me, Margot asks, Lara Jean, do you think you've ever been in love before real love? She catches me off guard. I don't have an answer ready for her. I'm trying to think of one, but she's already talking again. Wistfully, she says, I wish I had been in love more than once. I think you should fall in love at least twice in high school. Then she lets out a little sigh and falls asleep. Margot falls asleep like that. One dreamy sigh, and she's off to Neverland just like that. I wake up in the middle of the night and Margot's not there. Kitty's curled up on her side next to me, but no Margot. It's pitch dark. Only the moonlight filters through the curtains. I crawl out of bed and move to the window. My breath catches. There they are, Josh and Margot, standing in the driveway. Margot's face is turned away from him toward the moon. Josh is crying. They aren't touching. There isn't enough space between them for me to know that Margot hasn't changed her mind. I drop the curtain and find my way back to the bed where Kitty has rolled farther into the center. I push her back a few inches so there will be no room for Margot. I wish I hadn't seen that. It was too personal, too real. It was supposed to be just for them. If there was a way for me to unsee it, I would. I turn on my side and close my eyes. What must it be like to have a boy like you so much he cries for you? And not just any boy, Josh, our Josh. To answer her question, yes, I think I have been in real love just once, though, with Josh, our Josh. This is how, chapter 6, this is how Margot and Josh got together. In a way, I heard about it from Josh first. It was 2 years ago. We were sitting in the library during our free. I was doing math homework. Josh was helping because he's good at math. We had our heads bent over my page so close. I could smell the soap he used that morning, Irish Spring. And then he said, I need your advice on something. I like someone. For a split second, I thought it was me. I thought he was going to say me, I hoped. It was the start of the school year. We hung out nearly every day that August. Sometimes with Margot, but mostly just by herself, because Margot had her internship at the Multiplier Plantation 3 days a week. We swam a lot. I had a great tan from all the swimming. So for this split second, I thought he was going to say my name. But then I saw the way he blushed. The way he looked off into space. And I knew it wasn't for me. Mentally, I ran through the list of girls it could be. It was a short list. Josh didn't hang out with a ton of girls. He had his best friend, Jersey Mike, who had moved from New Jersey in middle school, and his other best friend, Ben, and that was it. It could have been Ashley, a junior on the volleyball team. He'd once pointed out as the cutest of all the junior girls in Josh's defense. I'd made him do it. I asked him who was the prettiest girl in each grade. For the prettiest freshman in my grade, he said Genevieve. Not that I was surprised, but it still gave me a little pinch in my heart. It could have been Jody, the college girl from the bookstore. Josh often talked about how smart Jody was, how she was so cultured because she studied abroad in India, and I was Buddhist. I was the one who was half Korean. I was the one who taught Josh how to eat with chopsticks. He had kimchi for the first time at my house. I was about to ask him who when the librarian came over to shush us. And then we went back to doing work and Josh didn't bring it up again. And I didn't ask. Honestly, I didn't want to know it was me. Honestly, I didn't want to know. It wasn't me. And that was all I cared about. I didn't think for 1 second that the girl he liked was Margot. Not that I didn't see her as a girl who could be liked. She'd been asked out before by a certain type of guy, smart guys, who would partner up with her in chemistry and run against her for student government. In retrospect, it wasn't so surprising that Josh would like Margot, since he's that kind of guy too. If someone were to ask me what Josh looks like, I would say he's just ordinary. He looks like the kind of guy you'd expect would be good at computers. The kind of guy who calls comic books graphic novels brown hair, not a special brown. Just regular brown. Green eyes that go muddy in the center. He's on the skinny side, but he's strong. I know because I sprained my ankle once by the old baseball field and he piggybacked me all the way home. He has freckles, which made him look younger than his age, and a dimple on his left cheek. I always liked that dimple. had such a serious face otherwise. What was surprising, what was shocking was that Margot would like him back, not because of who Josh was, but because of who Margot was. I never heard her talk about liking a boy before, not even once. I was the flighty one, the flibber to gibbler, as my white grandma would say. Not Margot. Margot was above all that. She existed on some higher place where those things, boys makeup clothes didn't really matter. The way it happened was sudden. Margot came home from school late that day in October. Her cheeks were pink from the cold mountainy air, and she had her hair in a braid and a scarf around her neck. She had been working on a project at school. It was dinner time, and I'd cooked chicken parmesan with thin spaghetti in watery tomato sauce. She came into the kitchen and announced, "I have something to tell you." Her eyes were very bright. I remember she was unspooling the scarf around her neck. Kitty was doing her homework at the kitchen table. Daddy was on his way home, and I was stirring the watery sauce. "What?" Kitty and I asked. Josh likes me." Margot gave a pleased kind of shrug. Her shoulders nearly went up to her ears. I went very still. Then I dropped my wooden spoon into the sauce. Josh, our Josh. I couldn't even look at her. I was afraid that she would see. "Yes, he waited for me after school today, so he could tell me," he said. Margot grinned ruefully. "He said I'm his dream girl. Can you believe that?" "Wow," I said. And I tried to communicate happiness in that word, but I don't know if it came out that way. All I was feeling was despair and envy. Envy so thick and so black, I felt like I was choking on it. So I tried again, this time with a smile. "Wow, Margot." "Wow," Kitty echoed. "So are you boyfriend and girlfriend now?" I held my breath, waiting for her to answer. Margot took a pinch of parmesan between her fingers and dropped it in her mouth. "Yeah, I think so." And then she smiled, and her eyes went all soft and liquid. I understood then that she liked him too, so much. That night I wrote a letter to Josh. "Dear Josh," I cried a lot. Just like that, it was over. It was over before I even had a chance. The important thing wasn't that Josh had chosen Margot. It was that Margot had chosen him. So that was that. I cried my eyes out. I wrote my letter. I put the whole thing to rest. I haven't thought of him that way since. He and Margot are meant to be. They're MFEO, made for each other. I'm still awake when Margot comes back to bed, and I quickly shut my eyes and pretend to be asleep. Kitty's cuddled up next to me. I hear a snuffly sound, and I peek out one of my eyes to look at Margot. Her back is to us. Her shoulders are shaking. She's crying. Margot never cries. Now that I've seen Margot cry over him, I believe it more than ever. They're not over. Chapter 7. The next day we drive Margot to the airport. Outside, we load up her suitcase on a luggage carrier. Kitty tries to get on top and dance, but our father pulls her down right away. Margot insists on going in by herself, just like she said she would. "Margot, at least let me get your bags checked," Daddy says, trying to maneuver the luggage carrier around her. "I want to see you go through security." "It'll be fine," she repeats. "I've flown myself before. I know how to check a bag." She stretches up on her toes and puts her arms around her dad's shoulders. "I'll call as soon as I get there, I promise." "Call every day," I whispered. The lump in my throat is getting bigger, and a few tears leak out of my eyes. I hoped I wouldn't cry, because I knew Margot wouldn't. And it's lonely to cry alone, but I can't help it. "Don't you dare forget us," Kitty warns. That night Margot smiles. "I could never." She hugs us each one more time. She saves me for the last. She saved me for last. The way I knew she would take good care of Daddy and Kitty. "You're in charge now." I don't want to let go, so I hold on tighter. I'm still waiting and hoping for some sign, some indication that she will miss us as much as we'll miss her. And then she laughs and I release her. "Bye, Gogo," I say, wiping my eyes with the corner of my shirt. We all watched as she pushes the luggage carrier over to the check-in counter. I'm crying hard, wiping my tears with the back of my arm. Daddy puts one arm around me and one around Kitty. We'll wait until she's in line for security, he says. When she's done checking in, she turns back and looks at us through the glass doors. She lifts one hand and waves, and then she heads for the security line. We watch her go, thinking she might turn around one more time, but she doesn't. She already seems so far away from us. Straight A. Margot, ever capable. When it's my time to leave, I doubt I'll be as strong as Margot, but honestly, who is? I cry all the way home. Kitty tells me I'm a bigger baby than she is. But then from the back seat, she grabs my hand and squeezes it, and I know she's sad too. Even though Margot isn't a loud person, um, it feels quite at home, empty somehow. What will it be like when I'm gone in 2 years? What will Daddy and Kitty do then? I hate the thought of the two of them coming home to an empty, dark house with no me and no Margot. Maybe I won't go away far. Maybe I'll live at home, at least for the first semester. I think that would be the right thing to do. Oh. Later that afternoon, Chris calls and tells me to meet her at the mall. She wants my opinion on a leather jacket, and to get the full effect, I have to see it in person. I'm proud she's asking me for my sartorial advice, and it would be good to get out of the house and not be sad anymore. But I'm nervous about driving to the mall alone. I or anyone really would consider myself a skittish driver. I asked her if she'll just send me a picture instead, but Chris knows me too well. She says, "Nuh-uh. You get your ass down here, Lara Jean. You'll never get better at driving if you don't suck it up and do it." So that's what I'm doing. I'm driving Margot's car to the mall. I mean, I have my license and everything. I'm just not very confident. My dad has taken me for lessons numerous times. Margot too. I'm basically fine with them in the car, but I get nervous when I drive alone. It's the changing lanes part that scares me. I don't like taking my eyes away from what's happening right in front of me. Not for a second. Also, I don't like going too fast, but the worst thing is I have a tendency of getting lost. The only places I can get to with absolute certainty are school and the grocery store. I've never had to know how to get to the mall because Margot always drove us there. But now I have to do better because I'm responsible for driving Kitty around. Though truthfully, Kitty is better with directions than I am. She knows how to get to loads of places, but I don't want to have to hear her tell me how to get somewhere. I want to feel like the big sister. I want her to relax in the passenger seat, safe in the knowledge that Lara Jean will get her where Lara Jean will get knowledge that Lara Jean will get her where she needs to go, just like I did with Margot. Sure, I could use a GPS, but I would feel silly putting in directions to go to the mall when I've been there it a million times. It should come to me intuitively, easy, where I don't even have to think about it. Every second sec. Instead, I worry over every turn, second guess every highway sign. It is north or is it south? Do I turn right here or is it the next one? I've never had to pay attention, but today so far so good. I'm listening to the radio, bopping along, even driving with just one hand on the wheel. I do this to feign confidence because the more I fake it, the more it's supposed to feel true. Everything is going so well that I take the shortcut way instead of the highway way. I cut through the side neighborhood, and even as I'm doing it, I wonder if this was such a great idea. After a couple of minutes, things aren't looking so familiar, and I realize I should have taken a left instead of right. I push down the panic that's rising in my chest, and I tried to backtrack. You can do it. You can do it. There's a four-way stop sign. I don't see anyone, so I zip ahead. I don't even see the car on my right. I feel it before I see it. I scream my head off. I taste copper in my mouth. Am I bleeding? Did I bite my tongue off? I touch it and it's still there. My heart is racing. My whole body feels wet and clammy. I try to take a deep breath, but I can't seem to get air. My legs shake As I get out of the car and the other guy is already out, inspecting his car with his arms crossed. He's older than my dad, and he has gray hair. And he's wearing shorts and with red lobsters on them. His car is fine. Mine had a huge dent in the side. Didn't you see the stop sign? He demands. Were you texting on your phone? I shake my head. My throat is closing up. I just don't want to cry as long as I don't cry. He seems to sense this. The irritated furrow on his brow is loosening. Well, my car looks fine, he says reluctantly. Are you alright? I nod again. I'm so sorry, I say. Kids need to be more careful, the man says, as if I haven't spoken. The lump on my throat is getting bigger. I'm very, very sorry, sir. He makes a grunty sound. You should call someone to come get you, the man says. You want me to wait? No, thank you. What if he's a serial killer or a child molester? I don't want to be alone with a strange man. The man drives off. As soon as he's gone, it occurs to me that maybe I should have called the police while he was still there. Aren't you always supposed to call the police when you get into a car accident, no matter what? I'm pretty sure they told us in driver's ed. So that's another mistake I made. I sit down on the curb and stare at Margot's car. I've only had it for 2 hours and already wrecked it. I rest my head in my lap and sit in a tight bundle. My neck is starting to ache. This is when the tears start. My dad is not going to be happy. Margot is not going to be happy. They'll both probably agree that I have no business driving around town unsupervised. And maybe they're right. Driving a car is a lot of responsibility. Maybe I'm not ready for it yet. Maybe I'll never be ready. Maybe even when I'm old, my sisters and my dad will have to drive me around because that's how useless I am. I pull out my phone and call Josh. When he answers, I say, Josh, can you do me a favor? And my voice comes out so wobbly, I'm embarrassed. Which of course he hears because he's Josh. He comes to attention immediately and says, what's wrong? I just got into a car accident. I don't even know where I am. Can you come get me? Wobble, wobble. Are you hurt? He demands. No, I'm fine. If I say another word, I will cry. What street signs do you see? What stores? I crane my neck to look. Fallstone, I say. I look for the closest mailbox. I'm at 8109 Fallstone Road. I'm on my way. Do you want me to stay on the phone with you? No, that's okay. I hung up and started to cry. I don't know how long I've been sitting there crying when another car rolls up in front of me. I looked up. It's Peter Kavinsky's black Audi with the tinted windows. One of them rolls down. Lara Jean, are you okay? I nod my head yes and make a motion like he should just go. He rolls the window back up and I think he's ready to drive off. But then he pulls over to the side and parks. He climbs up and starts inspecting my car. You really messed it up, he says. Did you get the other guy's insurance info? No, his car was fine. Furtively, I wiped my cheeks with his arm. It was my fault. Do you have AAA? I nod. So you called them already? No, but someone's coming. Peter sits down next to me. How long have you been sitting here crying by yourself? I turn my head and wipe my face. I'm not crying. Peter Kavinsky and I used to be friends back before he was Kavinsky, when he was Peter K. There was a whole gang of us in middle school. The boys were Peter Kavinsky and John Ambrose McLaren and Trevor Pike. The girls were Genevieve and me and Ali Feldman, who lived down the block, and sometimes Chris. Growing up, Genevieve lived 2 streets away from me. It's funny how much of a childhood is about proximity, like who your best friend is directly correlated to how close your houses are. Who you sit next to in music is all about how close your names are in the alphabet. Such a game of chance. In 8th grade, Genevieve moved to a different neighborhood and we stayed friends a little while longer. We come back to the neighborhood to hang out, but something was different. By high school, Genevieve had eclipsed us. She was still friends with the boys, but the girls' crew was over. Ellie and I stayed friends until she moved last year. There was always something just a little bit humiliating about it. Like we were 2 leftover heels of bread, and together we made a dry sandwich. We're not friends anymore, me and Genevieve or me and Peter. We're just why it's so weird to be sitting next to him on somebody's curb like no time has passed. His phone buzzes, He takes it out of his pocket. I've gotta go, I sniffle. Where are you headed? To Jen's. You better get going then, I say. Genevieve will be mad if you're late. Peter makes a piffed sound, but he sure doesn't get it fast. I wonder what it's like to have to have much power over a boy. I don't think I'd want it. It's a lot of responsibility to hold a person's heart in your hands. He's getting into his car when, as an afterthought, he turns around and asks, "Want me to call AAA for you?" "No, that's okay," I say. "Thanks for stopping, though. That was really nice of you." Peter grins. I remember that about Peter. How much he likes positive reinforcement. "Do you feel better now?" I nod. "I do, actually." "Good," he says. He has the look of a handsome boy from a different time. I thought he could be a dashing World War I soldier. Handsome enough for a girl to wait years for him to come back from war. So handsome she could wait forever. He could be wearing a red Letterman jacket, driving around in a Corvette with a top down. One arm on the steering wheel on his way to pick up his girl for the sock hop. Peter's kind of wholesome good looks feel more like yesterday than today. There's just something about him girls like. He was my first kiss. It's so strange to think of it now. It feels like forever ago, but really it was just 4 years. Josh shows up about a minute later. I'm texting Chris that I'm not going to make it to the mall. After all, I stand up. It took you long enough. You told me what 8109. This is 8901. I confidently say, no, I definitely said 8901. No, you definitely said 8109. That's why you weren't. And why weren't you answering your phone? Josh gets out of the car, and when he sees the side of the car, his jaw drops. Holy crap, did you call AAA yet? No, can you? Josh does, and then we sit in his car in the air conditioning while we wait. I almost get in the back seat when I remember Margot isn't here anymore. I've ridden in his car so many times, and I don't think I ever once sat up front in the passenger seat. You know Margot's gonna kill you, right? I whip my head around so fast and my hair slaps me in the face. Margot's not going to find out. So don't you say a word. When would I even talk to her? We broken up, remember? I found a him. I hate when people do that. When you ask them to keep something a secret, instead of saying yes or no, they say, who would I tell? I didn't say, who wouldn't I tell? Just say yes or no. And I mean it. Don't make it conditional. Won't tell Margot anything, he says. It'll just be between you and me, I promise, alright? Alright. I say, then it gets quiet with neither of us saying anything. There's just the sound of cool air coming out of the AC vent. My stomach feels queasy thinking about how I'm going to tell my dad. Maybe I should break the news to him with tears in my eyes so he feels sorry for me. Or I could just say something like, I have good news and bad news. The good news is I'm fine, not a scratch on me. The bad news is the car is wrecked. Maybe wrecked isn't the right word. I'm mulling over the right word choice in my head when Josh says, so just because Margot and I broke up, you're not going to talk to me anymore either? Josh sounds jokingly bitter or bitterly joking. There's such a combination. I looked over at him in surprise. Don't be dumb. Of course I'm still going to talk to you, just not in public. This is the role I play within, the part of the pesky little sister, as if I am the same as Kitty, as if we aren't only a year apart. Josh doesn't crack a smile. He just looks glum, so I bumped my forehead against him. That was a joke, dummy. Did she tell you she was going to do it? I mean, was it always your plan? When I hesitate, he says, come on. I know she tells you everything. Not really. Not this time anyway. Honestly, Josh, I didn't know a thing about it. Promise. I cross my heart. Josh absorbs this. Chewing out his bottom lip, he says, maybe she'll change her mind. That's possible, right? I don't know if it's more heartless for me to say yes or no. Because he'll be hurt either way. Because while I'm 99% sure that she will get back together with him, there's that tiny chance she won't. And I don't want to get his hopes up, so I don't say anything. He swallows. His Adam's apple bobbing up and down. No, you're right. When Margot makes up his mind, she doesn't go back on it. Please, please, please don't cry. I rest my head on his shoulders and say, you never know, Joshy. Josh stares straight ahead. A squirrel is darting up the big oak tree in the yard, up and down and back again. We both watch. What time does she land? Not for hours. Is she coming home for Thanksgiving? No, she doesn't get off for Thanksgiving. It's Scotland, Josh. They don't celebrate American holidays. Hello. I'm teasing again, but my heart's not in it. That's right, he says. I say, she'll be home for Christmas, though, and we both sigh. Can I still hang out with you guys? Josh asks me and Kitty, your dad too. We're not going anywhere, I assure him. Josh looks relieved. Good. I'd hate to lose you too. As soon as he says it, my heart does this pause. And I forget to breathe, and just for that 1 second I'm dizzy. And then just as quickly as it came, the strange flutter in my chest is gone, and the tow truck arrives. When we pull up into my driveway, he says, do you want to be there when you tell your dad? Do you want me to be there when you tell your dad? I pried up, and I remember how Margot said I'm in charge now, and I'm pretty sure taking responsibility for one's mistakes is part of being in charge. 9. Daddy isn't so mad after all. I go through my whole good news and bad news spiel, and he just sighs and says, as long as you're alright. The car needs a special part that has to be flown in from Indiana or Idaho. I can't remember which. In the meantime, I'll have to share the car with Daddy and take the bus to school or ask Josh for rides, which was already my plan. Margot calls later that night. Kitty and I were watching TV. I scream for Daddy to come quick. We sit on the couch and pass the phone around and take turns talking to her. Margot, guess what happened today? Kitty shouts. Frantically, I shake my head at her. Don't tell her about the car, I mouth. I give her warning eyes. Lara Jean got into Kitty pauses tantalizingly. I fight with Daddy, yeah. She was mean to me and Daddy and told her to be nice, so they had a fight. I grabbed the phone out of her hand. We didn't have a fight. Go. Kitty's just being annoying. What did you guys have for dinner? Did you cook the chicken I defrosted last night? Margot asks. Her voice sounds so far away. I pushed the volume up on the phone. Yes, but never mind about that. Are you settled into your room? Is it big? What's your room like? She's nice. Oh, what's your roommate like? She's nice. She's from London, and she has a really fancy accent. Her name is Penelope St. George Dixon. Gosh, even her name sounds fancy. I say, what about your room? The room is nice. The room is about the same as that dorm we saw at UVA. It's just older. What time is it over there? It's almost midnight. We're 5 hours ahead, remember? We're 5 hours ahead, like she's already considering Scotland her home. And she's only been gone a day. Not even. We miss you already, I tell her. We miss you too. After dinner, I text Chris if she wants to come over. If she doesn't text back, she's probably out with one of the guys she hooks up with, which is fine. I should catch up on my scrapbooking. I was hoping to be done with Margot's scrapbook before she left for college, but as anyone who's ever scrapbooked knows, Rome wasn't built in a day. You could spend a year or more working on one scrapbook. I've got Motown girl group music playing, and my supplies are laid out all around it in a semicircle. My heart hole punch pages and pages of scrapbook paper, pictures I've cut out of magazines, glue gun, my tape dispenser with all my different colored washi tape, souvenirs like the playbill from when we saw Wicked in New York, receipts, pictures, ribbon, buttons, stickers, charms. A good scrapbook has texture. It's thick and chunky and doesn't close all the way. I'm working on a Josh and Margot page. I don't care what Margot said. They're getting back together. Sorry. I know it, and even if they aren't, not right away. It's not like Margot can just erase him from her history. He was such a big part of her senior year and like her life. The only compromise I'm willing to make is I was saving my heart washi tape for this page, but I can just do a regular plaid tape instead. But I put the plaid tape up against the pictures and the colors don't look as good. So I go ahead and use the hard tape, and then swaying in the music, I use my hard template to cut out pictures of the two of them. Margot's going to love this. I'm carefully gluing a dried rose petal from Margot's corsage when my dad taps on the door. What are you guys up to tonight? This, I said, gluing another petal. If I keep at it, it'll probably be done by Christmas. Ah, my dad doesn't move. He just hovers there in the doorway, watching me work. Well, I'm going to watch that new Ken Burns documentary in a bit. If you want to join me, maybe, I say, just to be nice. Be too much of a pain to bring all my supplies downstairs and get it set up again. I'm in a good rhythm right now. Why don't you get it started without me? Alrighty, I'll leave you to it then. Daddy shuffles down the stairs. It takes me most of the night, but I finish the Josh and Margot page, and it comes out really nice. Next is a sister page. For this one, I used flowered paper for the background and glued in a picture of the three of us from a long time ago. Mommy took it. We were standing in front of the oak tree in front of the house in our church clothes. We're all wearing white dresses and have matching pink ribbons in our hair. The best thing about the picture is Margot and I are smiling sweetly and Kitty is picking her nose. I smiled to myself. Kitty's going to pitch a fit when she sees this page. I can't wait. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. This is a really long book, but I don't want to read for too long. So that will be it. Thank you for coming to my stream. Have a nice day. Day or night, I don't know.